Ever get that feeling like even your favorite travel spots are starting to feel a little too familiar? Like you've seen it all?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, stick with us today because we're diving into a destination that sounds anything but predictable.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's called Amappara,
Amappara.
and it's located near Ramakalmadu in Kerala's Idukki district.
Ramakalmadu, that's a hill station, right? Gorgeous views, I've heard.
Yeah, exactly. Famous for its windmills and rolling hills.
So what's Amappara all about then? What makes it special?
Well, a recent Kerala tourism article caught our eye, and it's all about adventure.
Adventure, like what are we talking about here?
The article uses this phrase, grand views and adrenaline high.
Ooh, okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it really does. It's like they're trying to attract a different kind of traveler, not just someone looking to relax on a beach.
Makes sense. Kerala is already known for its beautiful beaches and backwaters.
Right. So maybe this is their way of showing off a different side of Kerala.
Yeah, like a hidden gem for adventure seekers.
Exactly. And since we're all about exploring the unexpected today, we're going to deep dive into what makes Amappara so special.
Let's do it. Unpack this whole grand views and adrenaline high thing.
So first off, the article really emphasizes this offbeat getaway vibe.
Offbeat. Okay, I like that.
It's all about discovering a place that hasn't been overrun by tourists yet, a place that still feels raw and authentic.
Yeah, unspoiled natural beauty. That's what they're going for, I think.
And those grand views the article mentions, they're definitely a major draw.
I mean, who doesn't love a stunning vista? Especially if you're hiking or trekking to reach it.
Now that brings us to the adrenaline high part. The article doesn't get into specifics about activities.
Right, it just hints at it, leaves us wanting more.
So what kind of adventures do you think a place like Amappara might offer given its location near Ramakalmadu? Hilly terrain, lots of open space.
Well, based on the terrain, I'd say trekking is a safe bet. Maybe some challenging trails that lead to those breathtaking viewpoints.
Yeah, tough climbs, rocky paths, that sort of thing.
Possibly some rock climbing, too. Rappelling, even.
Ooh, I didn't think of that, but yeah, it makes sense.
The name Amappara itself might be a clue.
How so?
Well, I looked it up, and it seems to mean rocky expanse.
Ah, okay. So the landscape itself lends itself to that kind of adventure.
Exactly. It's like Carol is saying, hey, we've got more to offer than just relaxation. We have adventure, too.
Right. It's almost like a strategic move to appeal to a different kind of tourist.
Yeah, those who are seeking something more active, more challenging.
The kind of traveler who wants to really engage with nature, push their limits a bit.
Definitely. And there's a growing market for that kind of travel experience. People are tired of the same old tourist traps.
They want something authentic, something unique.
And Amappara seems to fit the bill perfectly.
It's like this hidden gem that's just waiting to be discovered.
And there's something really alluring about that isn't there.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of being ahead of the curve, discovering a place before it becomes the next big thing.
It's like having a secret all to yourself.
So to sum it up, based on what we're seeing from Kerala tourism, Amappara is being positioned as this exciting up-and-coming destination.
Right. It's all about stunning scenery combined with adventurous activities.
A perfect offbeat getaway for those who want something more than just a typical vacation.
Exactly. And for those who are looking for that adrenaline rush while surrounded by natural beauty.
Now, we want to hear from you. When you hear those words, grand views and adrenaline high, what comes to mind for you? What personal experiences does it trigger?
Yeah, what kind of places make you feel that sense of adventure?
And what other hidden gems are out there just waiting to be explored? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Amappara.
All right, so for this deep dive, we are going someplace pretty interesting, and I think it's going to be right up a lot of our listeners' alley.
Yeah, this one kind of stood out to me when you sent this over.
Yeah, it's a Kerala tourism article about this place called Amappara.
Okay.
Near Ramakalmadu
All right.
in Kerala, obviously. And I think, a lot of our listeners are really interested in those kind of off the beaten path, maybe a little bit of adventure destinations that have something visually spectacular about them.
Right, right.
And this seems to really fit the bill. So let's dig into this Kerala tourism article.
Yeah, let's see what Amappara is all about.
And just to start off, they really emphasize the journey.
Yeah.
And kind of the offbeat nature of how you even get to this place. So
It sounds like the journey is part of the attraction here.
yeah, it really does. And they even call it out. They say it's a rickety ride, bobbing and bouncing off the rocks as you wend your way on the off-road track paved by nature herself.
Wow. Okay, so
I mean, just reading that.
yeah.
I mean, what does that bring to mind for you?
I mean, it definitely makes it sound like this is for the adventurous traveler. For sure, someone who doesn't mind
Right.
a little bit of a bumpy ride.
Exactly. It's not a, Sunday drive in your family sedan kind of a trip.
No kidding.
And they even call out that a Jeep ride from Thovalapiti Junction on the Thukupalam-Ramakamedu stretch is the way to go.
Okay. All right, so Jeep it is.
Yeah, so we're kind of getting that sense already of, okay, we're in for a little bit of adventure.
Yeah.
And then you get there and you get to these two giant rocks
Okay.
that are leaning on each other.
Right.
And that is really what Amappara is all about.
That's the main attraction.
Yeah, it's these two rocks, and they describe them, these mammoth rocks lean on each other and overlook the deep valley.
Wow.
And they also mention that it's shaped like a tortoise, and that's where the name comes from.
Oh, interesting.
Amappara means Tortoise-Rock.
Okay, so the shape of the rocks themselves is really central.
Absolutely, yeah, it's the defining feature. And, it's always amazing to me how these kind of natural formations just appear and have these shapes that resonate with us, that look like something we're familiar with.
Yeah. Nature's pretty incredible that way.
It really is. And the way they describe these rocks is they're perched at the crest of the hill, and it looks like they're just hanging from space.
Wow.
So you can imagine these huge rocks overlooking this vast valley.
Yeah, that sounds pretty amazing.
And then imagine yourself standing between these rocks.
Oh, wow.
And they even say, as you stand sandwiched between the rocks, gazing at the verdant valley and rolling hills, time stops.
That's a pretty nice image, I have to say.
I know, it's really evocative, right? And I think it kind of gets at that feeling you get when you're traveling and you find these special places.
Right, that sense of awe.
Yeah, you're just kind of present in the moment.
Yeah.
And all the, daily life just kind of fades away.
Yeah, just completely absorbed by the landscape.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it sounds like there's even more to explore beyond those two main rocks. The article also mentions that there are many caves and boulders around, offering a tranquil moment.
Oh, interesting. So even more to discover.
Yeah, it's like you have the grand spectacle of those giant rocks, and then you can kind of go off and find these quieter spaces for contemplation.
Yeah, I like that. I like that contrast.
That's you too.
Now, they also add this really interesting layer of local lore to the story,
Okay.
and they connect it to the Ramayana.
Oh, wow.
So according to local lore, Rama and Lakshmana spent some time at Amappara during their search for Sita.
Huh. That's really interesting. It's like it adds this whole other dimension.
It does, right.
The place, it's not just a geological formation anymore.
Right. It's got this historical and cultural significance.
Yeah, exactly.
Which really brings it to life even more.
I think so too.
Now, thinking about the whole, rickety ride to get there.
Yeah.
And these giant rocks that look like they're hanging from space. I was glad to see that the article mentioned something about safety.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
They did point out that there are a plethora of viewpoints that are fitted with protective fencing to ensure the safety of the travelers.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, so you can still get that sense of adventure, but you can also, be there safely.
Right. You don't want to be worrying about
Right.
taking a wrong step
Exactly.
while you're trying to enjoy the view.
Exactly. And they even mentioned a specific viewpoint called the flight viewpoint, which gives you this magnificent bird's eye view of the many villages in the valley.
Oh, nice.
So you get these different perspectives, from different vantage points.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that.
So based on this description, it seems like the target audience for Amappara is pretty clear.
Yeah, it's definitely for the adventure enthusiast.
Yeah, someone who's looking for something a little bit different, a
Yeah,
little bit off the beaten path.
right. Someone who's okay with a bumpy ride to get to this spectacular natural wonder.
Right, not your typical beach vacation.
No, not at all. And the article even calls it out. They say the perfect offbeat getaway for adventure enthusiasts, Amappara, near Ramakalmadu in Idukki district, is an emerging tourist destination that offers grand views and adrenaline high.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty well.
Yeah, they really hit all the key points.
When I think about all of this, it really speaks to this trend we're seeing with travel where people are looking for these authentic, experiential trips.
Yeah.
It's not just about getting to a destination.
Right.
It's about the journey and the unique character of the place.
It's that whole package.
Yeah, exactly.
So for our listener out there,
Mm-hmm.
if you are not the type of person who enjoys perfectly smooth and predictable vacation.
Right.
And you really get a thrill out of those kind of off the beaten path discoveries.
Yeah.
Amappara sounds like it could be right up your alley.
Definitely a place to add to the list.
Yeah, this really sparked my interest.
Mine too.
And it makes me think about, how does that effort of getting to a place like this enhance the experience?
That's a good question.
Does that bumpy ride
Right.
make those views even more rewarding?
Interesting.
Because you've worked for it a little bit,
Yeah. You've earned it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, there are a lot of places in the world like that where, the more remote or the more challenging it is to get there, the more those memories stick with you and the more powerful the experience is.
Absolutely.
So think about that as you go about your day. What are some of those destinations out there that might be a little bit harder to reach,
Right.
but offer those really richly rewarding experiences?
That's a great question to ponder.
Yeah, and maybe those are the kinds of places we should be seeking out.
I think so.
All right, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Thanks for having me.
This was really fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right, we'll see.